Welcome to the Hard Water Fishing Show. Jeff and Jason talk tactics, gear, and ice fishing legends.
All right, welcome back to the Hard Water Fishing Show. Is season 8, episode 13. We're going to talk about Rainy Lake and our season wrap up. And it is the first week of March 2025. Ice is rapidly fading all over the place. And we've got a couple of very special guests tonight. We have Ole and we have Northwood Dave. Please don't make any sudden moves or any sort of comments that would take higher intellectual order to understand, and we shall proceed with our season wrap up. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, welcome.
And we're doing this because the sound was really cruddy when we tried to do it together in one room last time when we were trying to leave. So we're all in our own little homes tonight. You're recording.
Well, maybe you don't know where I'm at. I could be on the street corner here at the coffee shop.
You could be. You're absolutely right.
I know you're not sitting where your background is.
I know that much. I could be out in my car in front of your house.
Otherwise, you phone Jeff and Dave because they're right behind you in the machine.
Whoa, that's kind of weird.
And we don't need any more. We have enough.
Yeah,
straighten that out a little bit.
I know it's a little crooked.
I didn't even wear my hat today. I'm just going.
How's that? Is that better?
I don't know.
All right.
I didn't wear my hat today. Don't know.
So I don't know if you guys brought a beer to the party. Jeff, did you?
Oh yeah, I got a beer tonight.
Okay,
do I get to open mine first?
You yet? How about Ole?
Oh, really? I don't get to open mine first?
Why don't you open yours and I go get mine?
Okay. Dave's having water, I think, right, Dave?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm actually having Starbucks Komodo Dragon.
Very nice. Dave's working evenings, so he's got to go join the workforce later. So needs to have a DOT compliant beverage.
Komodo Dragon, tell us about this coffee, Dave.
Yeah, tell us about your coffee.
Well,
he's out looking for a beer.
It was a Christmas present from a sister from Starbucks.
Your sister's from Starbucks?
Well, she works there.
Oh, there you go. So
I've seen her there.
At Starbucks.
Yeah,
it's by my house. It's by my house.
How cool is that?
And it's showcasing beans from across Indonesia. This bold, spicy blend reflects a diverse coffee tradition as the Asian Pacific region. Blended together, these coffees produce unique and remarkable flavors that capture an essence of the islands they come from. The taste is complex and buttery with layered notes of fresh herbs and warm spices.
This is a long ways from Folgers, dude.
Well, I was digging through my cupboard.
I'm impressed. I think you took this to another level. I think it's awesome.
Now, I don't know that we should start drinking coffee at our 8 o'clock at night podcast.
I'd be like,
well, normally in summer I wouldn't. I even had to find my grinder to grind the beans.
Oh wow, they're not even ground. You had to beat on them.
I know. So lucky you didn't have to go up and get a sledgehammer and a Ziploc bag and crush them.
Cowboy coffee. All right, Ole, what'd you go find?
Juice Honey Crisp.
What?
I've never heard of this before. What is it?
It's a hard cider.
What did you call it? I missed it.
It's Loon Juice.
Loon Juice.
Yep, and it's their Honey Crisp hard cider.
Okay.
So they have different flavors, and Peyton and I discovered last summer that in a boat in the heat of the day, these hard ciders are a lot more refreshing than a beer. Beer just kind of makes you groggy and feel bloated and stuff, and I don't need help with bloating. I live bloated enough. So. No, we enjoy them. They're good, and I've been drinking more of these lately than I have just regular beer, unless it's a dark beer like a Modelo or something.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, go ahead and did you crack that thing while you're on your way back, or are you going to crack it now? There you go.
Ooh.
Does this thing have a story?
It's wet. Tastes good.
Why do they call it Loon Juice?
It's a Minnesota thing. So state bird and all that, right? And Honey Crisp is a
That's a Minnesota apple. It was developed at the University of Minnesota.
Yeah. I think they grow them now throughout a lot of the Midwest, but yeah,
They do.
Minnesota started, and so it's kind of a Minnesota deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was hoping that it wasn't actually like juiced loons, because that would be gross.
No, that would be bad.
Look at Jason's face.
And you stir it with your eagle feather. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you guys come up when Jeff comes up with
Okay.
just the strangest.
I found the official description for honey.
I feel like I'm glad this is our last episode. It's coming to a good end.
It's going to be awesome. Minnesota, other fruit cider. That's what the category apparently. While hard ciders are primarily made with apples, other fruits are occasionally added to hard apple ciders in order to provide additional flavors, colors, and aromas. See package. Okay, that's highlights. But it sounds good, and I want to try one.
Okay.
Like I said, it's good. You guys have heard of Jason, you were on a big hard cider kick a few years back, right? And
It's been that's back when my paleo phase. So that's,
yeah, like Angry
it's been
Orchard.
about 65 pounds ago.
Yeah. So this has nothing to do with diet or anything. I just enjoy them.
Oh.
I like them. But the Angry Orchard is really good. Blake's is another good one. There's a lot of them now. There's almost
Cool.
there's not as many hard ciders as there are beers, but there's quite a few.
We got
And,
two first, hard cider and coffee.
And coffee. Hey, Jeff, what are you drinking?
we've done coffee when we
Yeah.
sat around the table at Winnie.
We did.
Yeah, we did. You're right.
We didn't
Not at
grind it,
Winnie.
though. We
Yeah?
didn't grind it though.
All right, I get to go next, Jason.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm gonna go.
You
So
go.
you might expect.
I got cut off.
I'm still working through my, we've changed a lot over the years. I brought a 30 pack of old style to our last trip, and I actually brought quite a lot home. But so that's what I'm partaking in this evening is a leftover old style, which, still pretty good. It probably has several times. Yeah, but it's pretty hearty like that. It's hard to know.
The mark of a good beer. It just tastes good.
It tastes the same no matter what. Throw it in the trunk of a car on a hot summer day.
Yeah.
Drink it in January. It'll be fine.
So I actually came home with a few of those too. I got some in my fridge. I don't know how they came back with me, but I got some living in my fridge now too.
Well, good. Save it for me next time I'm up.
But I
Well, you, Jeff, who drank all the beer?
Who did drink all the beer?
At least one every trip. Jeff wanders around with the last beer in his hand, wondering who drank all the beer. Every single,
Well,
Trip.
put it this way:
at
found,
least one day.
I found all your beer cans. They're shoved in my portable shack.
Oh, we didn't use your portable shack. Well,
No,
one
but
time, one day.
I did have it open, grabbing my stuff out of it. I
Oh.
think you used that as a dumpster.
I did not do that. I put mine in the red cooler, the
Who
Playmate.
would do that?
Ollie.
My money was on Oli the whole time.
Yeah.
Space.
Actually,
all
I
right.
have no recollection of that.
My only regret is I didn't
Memorable
think of it
moment.
first.
Yeah.
Don't leave empty beer cans or your phone in the bathroom around Ole.
We'll maybe get to that later.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
Jeff.
All right. So I am.
Well, hang on one second.
Oh.
Sean, I got one more question for you.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, you're killing me, man. All right. I have the Boundary Waters Brunette Brown Ale.
Ooh.
It says, dip your paddle into a cool lake in the Boundary Waters, canoe area wilderness, and feel the restorative qualities of Mother Nature. Like our namesake voyagers, we use Minnesota wild rice to bring you this unique and satisfying beer from the northern wilderness. It comes from a special place that is perfect companion on any journey.
Was there a sound to that?
He said brunette, and then he followed it up with dip your paddle. And I got to be honest, I went a whole different direction.
Yeah, this is all about canoeing and your beer. So yeah, it's good. It's a brown ale. It's very, very tasty. I don't taste the wild rice here though.
All right.
All right. Well, that was beer. We're a good 10 minutes in beer. We're ahead of schedule, I would say.
Ooh.
I know, exactly. All right. Well, getting into patrons, we got to send a big shout out to Jared, our new patron. He is at the guide level. We thank Jared and all of our patrons for the support of the show. They help pay the bills. So thank your patrons. Cheers to you, patrons.
Cheers. I
Thank
keep
you.
looking for you guys on that list and I never see you.
Yep.
Hey.
I don't see that money coming by.
You don't either.
Yeah, we don't either. Yeah, it's producing the podcast is not free, that's for sure.
Well, maybe you should put that money into tracks and you can store them, Jason, for me.
Oh yeah.
You know what? If you buy the tracks, Dave, I'll store them.
Oh, where's my
Yeah.
tracks? Wait, they're in Iowa.
Yeah. Or
Super
oops,
handy.
or just like your tire chains. Oops, they're in
Yeah.
Two Harbors.
Don't worry, Dave. They're in storage.
Storage.
All right.
All right.
Let's see. We got a nice perch from Cole K, huh?
Yeah, I suppose Oli and Dave can't see these pictures.
Yeah, we
They're in
gotta
our
share
show
that.
notes. Yeah, we can share that. So let me go here. Let's see. So yeah, so Cole, he sent us a bunch of stuff, but let me see, share 1 second. Go. I don't know. You guys will have to tell me what that looks like.
Yeah,
Not
it's a
really
great
know.
perch.
You can see that still?
Yeah.
It looks like Town Line Lake.
I don't know where Cole is.
Where the beach sign said no fishing. Doesn't it?
No.
That does not look like Town Line Lake.
Yeah, he noticed how dark this perch was. It's like very, very dark
Mhm.
colored perch, but he had a bunch of these. So yeah,
I'd
thanks.
take a bucket of those.
Yeah, thanks Cole for sending that in.
It's a big forehead on that perch.
It
I
is,
like it when
actually.
they get the big knob on them.
Well, all that cheek meat you can get off of it.
That's right. It's a lot.
Absolutely.
It's been proven. All right. Jeff Moreau sent us a message on February 21st. I wanted to say what it is. So Jeff, we had him on the show earlier this year. He is a guide on Eagle Lake in Ontario, Canada. We hope to visit there someday. And he mentioned that it was really cold there, but they're catching some walleyes up there. So, yeah, nice to hear from Jeff. Oh, I think this next one's pretty cool. I'll share my screen again. So Oli and
This
Dave.
guy has a very well organized ice house from what I can see.
Yeah, look at that. Like,
I mean, this is like Oli level stuff here.
but you see, he said you can keep your feet warmer if you use the zero gravity chair to ice fish. You see that? Like he's in one of those like lounger chairs.
Wow.
I don't know. Well, he has the rod there in his hand. I thought maybe he couldn't get to the rod, but
Yeah, he's got two rods and the rod holder over there, his ice scoop, fish
yeah.
finder on a bucket so you can see it. I mean,
But
he's got this thing
How
set up.
easy is it to get out to grab something out of the hole?
You're not.
I mean, so if you look at, if you look at how he's set up, he's kind of at an angle to the hole. So I bet it's a lean forward and grab. I know if it need two hands, I don't know how that's going to happen, but you know what he needs, Jeff?
Hmm.
He needs that thing.
Yeah, he needs the Grandpa Jimmy's.
Grandpa Jimmy's thing.
But like remote, like because his feet are up, so you'd have to do it remote. But
Yeah.
But
Would the Grandpa Jimmy's thing work with, what is that, 3 inches of ice he's sitting on?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make it shortish. We got to try that out, Oli. I was going to get one of those to you, and Dave. I guess we'll have to try them out next year because I never got them to you. But you guys have your permanent wheelhouse and try those. I use one up at Kurt's, but yeah,
but then it looks like he doesn't have the transducer in the same hole either.
he does not separate.
So he doesn't have to pull that out if he gets a big fish.
Yeah, I mean, if you got a crappie, you'd be fine, right? I mean, you just scoop it out, but
Well, I've still lost him on my transducer down the hole.
yeah, you probably wouldn't get a eel pout even with assistance. Somebody would probably break your line and lose your your lure.
Well, it might.
You know who it was?
Wrap
It was
around
the
the
one-arm-
transducer.
It
Yeah.
was the one-armed man.
Yeah, I was trying to get an eel pout out of the lake with one arm. It didn't go well. All
Well,
right.
it was on the ice, but then you couldn't grab it because it was slick, and then
Yeah.
you stumbled around, and I don't know. I
Yeah.
think you cut my line too.
I think I did. Well, when I did twice when I caught a fish that weekend, when you're trying to use one arm to gather the fish up, you have no arms left, and then I just fell on my face. I did it twice.
See,
Well,
I always tell Jason, hey, it could be worse. Thank you, Jeff, for proving my point.
Oh my gosh.
But Jeff, how do you do that? I was looking at you when you were outside. There was slow motion, just tipping over on a bucket.
I
Slow
know.
motion.
I don't know. I was trying to grab the fish, and I didn't
He
want to
was-
land on my bad arm, so I was trying to figure out how to make all this work, and that's what
He was
happened.
lost in thought, thinking about who must have taken the last beer.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Where was like the last beer?
Tuck and roll. Tuck and roll.
Tuck and roll. That's right. All right, we heard from Wayne. And Wayne, you guys remember Wayne? He sent us a message on Spotify on our Spotify account, which is on our podcast. He goes, hey, talk to you guys on Friday. You were grilling brats and offered me one. Thanks. Did you catch anything? So you guys remember Wayne? He drove by in his snowmobile. That was Wayne,
Yeah,
right?
that's with the wooden box, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we were by
Oh, really?
Bald Rock, or what was the name of that island?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bald Rock. That was
Bald Rock.
with the house light thing on it.
Yep.
That was
Yeah.
yeah.
And he ended up catching one Saturday morning.
Yeah. Cool.
One.
Yeah.
Wow. So, but it's kind of cool to see somebody on the ice that then sent us a message. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so these are a couple gear feedback things. So this was from Jeffrey L, and he suggested for our everyday carry bucket that you get a 3/4 cover on the bucket. And we found this when we were fishing,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can put your rod in there, and also that it's easier to get in there. So I've seen those before. Like you have a bucket, and then like your rod can stick out part of it, but you can still use it for a seat.
Mm-hmm. You know, clam chair is kind of an option too.
Yeah, you like your clam chair, Ole.
Yeah. I mean,
Do they still make those new, Oli?
They do, and I'm actually considering getting a new one because mine is getting pretty bad. But it hasn't failed me yet, and I've had that for how many years now?
Oh.
12, 15 years.
A long
Yeah.
time.
But I like the fact that it's got my tip ups, my rods, my hole insulators, all of my tackle,
Yep.
some other various sundries, I guess. It's a chair itself, obviously. So I grabbed that, my Vexilar, and an auger, and
Yep.
I have everything I need. I'm gone.
Have you ever run into somebody else with one of those?
Yeah, her name is Kathy. I live with
Where'd she get that one from?
Yeah.
You do a little bit more than running into.
You had one, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And Hayden uses that one. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
I think he did, but I think that one isn't with us anymore.
I don't know if they make them anymore. I just
The weight
Googled it.
rating wasn't quite what I needed it.
Well, and there's a couple of hacks that I figured out you can do, and I think if a guy did those when it was brand new, it would last a lot better.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I mean, they're not perfect, but I haven't found another option that I like better.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's what matters. It works
You
for
might
you.
be
Yeah.
might be shopping for one that's new old stock, Ole. I don't know. Not seeing
Yeah.
a lot of.
I don't think they probably make it because I haven't seen them advertised, but I have seen them in the stores like Shields.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
saw an end capped at Shields last year.
Oh well, then yeah, maybe it's
You
just
should
that time of year.
Probably buy one sooner rather than later.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do what some guys do for shoes. Just buy like I see. I got 10 years out of this. I'm 50. I need
Oh.
3 more
Lifetime supply of clam chairs.
to
But
get
don't
me
your-
through the end.
Don't
And I guess if I'm
drink.
if I'm 80 and I need another one, I'll reassess. I'll go shopping.
Mhm.
This is Country 3806 or 3608. I don't know what his real name is, but he sent us a message and says, Northeast Iowa walleye. I think producer is the Mississippi River pools 9 and 10 in Iowa.
Yep.
So this is your space there, Jay.
Yep.
Is that somewhere you fish?
Yeah, 9 and 10.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Was there ice on the lake or the river?
No, it's all breaking up. All the posts are really people out trying to break the ice off the boat ramps. So they can get out on the river in their boats. The Mississippi was really going to start heating up here in a couple weeks.
Ole, if you have special guests on the show, you got to introduce them.
Yeah, who do you got there?
Well, it was Otto. Now he's
Oh, you got shy.
yeah.
My buddy Otto High. He's always so fluffy.
All right. We'll talk about the fishing report when we go through our main point. I don't think we need a separate fishing report. So, Jay, you want to run us through show business?
Sure. Best places to interact with us are on social media, Instagram and Facebook. Website, hardwatershow.com. We're on YouTube at Hardwater Show. can email us at hardwatershow@gmail.com. We're on X at hardwatershow. I'm still banned from X. And, we're getting to the end of the year. So probably within the next month, we're going to be hit and miss on responding to things, but otherwise we'll be back in full force in the fall. But we do periodically check in on our email, and all our social media is it's all linked up pretty easy now, more than it used to be. So it's pretty easy to get messages. So if you find us in July and have a comment, feel free to send it.
We'll talk about it in November or late, probably. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say a month. I would say after this show comes out, we're probably going to be pretty quiet after that till the fall.
Yeah. Unless, this is just a false spring and we're going to end up with more ice and I can go fishing again.
Well, you could. I mean, you can go fishing still.
I know I can go, but it's like 10 hours
Yeah, not at your house.
to get ice.
I was in Iowa this weekend too.
And people are dying all over the place. I hate to bring up such a terrible subject, but we have had more guys fall through the ice this winter.
Oh, really?
Oh man. Yeah, just last weekend, another dude died. Guy and his kid. I think it was his kid. They had the same last name. So guy in his late 40s, and yeah, guy died. Yep. Trying to fish south of me by the Dead Sea there. Not at the Dead Sea, but by there, and died.
Wow.
Went through the ice. I don't know if people aren't wearing, their float suits because the weather's warm, or they don't have their ice picks with, or what's going on. But I mean, it's been a bad year. And a guy actually I read an article with another guy by Marshalltown died this week.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody just went through and it turned into a recovery on Big Stone, I hear.
Yeah. There was one up by Duluth. I know St. Louis County was involved with on Lake Superior. I mean, it's been a really fatal year, I think.
The ice deteriorated really quickly everywhere, it feels like, while we were on rainy.
Yeah.
We're that far north, so we're in fairly good shape, but Red, Leech, Mille Lacs, Winnie all really had some major issues with their ice roads because the heaving just from the warm weather started to get so severe, and then flooding. They were evacuating people because they couldn't keep the ice road open. Plus, it was Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Walleye season's over on all those bodies of water, so there's not a lot of incentive to keep that ice road maintained anymore. But I don't know if it was as much that as just everything got really bad really fast.
Yeah, definitely.
I finally pulled my house off Sunday. Yeah, yesterday. So, but there's clear ice out there where it was, but along the shore, it's turning white. So
yeah.
I just wanted to get it off out there. And no, there's a vehicle out there driving today. So,
I
yeah, but
anyway,
I mean, you just got to know because, like, I mean, even at rainy, on rainy, we were touching the handles. The ice was so thick; it was 3 feet thick. So it depends on where you're at. I mean,
well, and I think to Oli's point, I think it's different than it has been. Yeah. So, I mean, I just want everybody to be safe. So,
sure.
Just make sure you check, make sure you know what your ice is doing, and don't just assume because last year it was good or the last 10 years it was good. It's good this year too.
Well, the worst
year or this year, sorry, Dave, there was lakes reporting 40 inches and then they still had 18 inches. So people are like, well, there's still 18 inches of ice. But I'm sorry, if in 1 week you went from 40 to 18, that 18 is really, really bad ice, right?
It's like a snow cone.
That's Swiss cheese, yeah.
I have current events coming up here. We're going to talk about this. So yeah, it's good.
Well, you really got to watch out about these public accesses where people are dragging on their salt from their vehicles, the sand. That's the first to go right there.
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember just one year up at Red Door, the ice heaves were so bad. There was like a backup. They literally had a backhoe, like a full size backhoe, because the heave was so big. They were just like cutting it down with the what do you call it? Is that a backhoe? I don't know, Dave. What's the thing that scoops the dirt?
Well, did it have tires or tracks?
Tires.
Okay, that's probably a rubber tire backhoe. Otherwise, if it had tracks, it's an excavator.
No, yeah, but it was just like they were literally like taking the heave down with this giant scoop things. Because
Yeah.
you're trying to get your wheelhouse out and it looks like a teepee or something. But
Sender.
yeah. Only gonna try
Yeah,
that.
how does that work when you send something?
It's as tall as your truck. I don't think you're gonna get over that thing.
Yeah.
All right. Did we? Yeah, go ahead.
Current events. We didn't have any fact checks, did we?
No, I kind of skipped over it. I mean,
Perfect. Everything we said is true. I love
yep.
it.
It's amazing how smart we are. Well, shoot. Maybe not so much.
Did I ever tell you I implemented that same process at work. So we always do KPNs, key performance measures, in a meeting on a monthly basis.
Mhm.
And I send them out. I'm like, you got till the next meeting to argue these with me. Otherwise, we're not going to argue about it 6 months from now that it's wrong. And it's been mint.
Wow.
I mean, there's still people that try and it's like, nope, what's the rule? You got 30 days.
Wow. Jason's implementing podcast rules.
I know. Hey,
it's crazy.
I don't know. I mean, whatever. You take what you get, but you get tired of people arguing stuff 6 months after the fact. It is what it is.
So current events, we have one current event that I put in here. I mean, ice fishing, chatter, noise, talk, everything is pretty much almost dead, right? I mean, everybody's moved on. Really, in Minnesota, anyways. I'm sure in Canada that's not the case, or the border lakes that's not the case, like in Lake of the Woods, or but really most people in the southern lower 48, I guess, are down. But the lake detective, Steve McComas, he's an Outdoor News. We talk about him probably a fair amount, but he had talked about ice, and he said how ice goes out. And this is exactly what we're talking about. So ice melts from the top and bottom. He's like the obvious part. So as solar radiation becomes stronger, ice sheet will become isothermic, and the ice glue, he called it, that holds the ice together will begin to melt. So like you get the vertical crystals are still there, but the other ice particles that hold it together start to go away. So you get that that the vertical
Honeycomb?
crystals are there. Yeah, kind of. That's what he didn't call it honeycomb. He called it different. But yeah. So he said that's when you see this ice where like the vertical ones crystals are still intact, but the glue that holds them together is gone. So the ice is bad. And he said it becomes black because the ice starts to absorb the radiation rather than when it's white, it reflects it. If you think about like it gets black because the ice becomes in a way where it's sucking in the sun instead of going away. And they said then the wind and rain break it up, and then a couple hours and the ice is gone. So
if we were one of these like high dollar podcasts or YouTube channels, we could get like 10,000 space blankets, sew them together, and cover the lake during the day.
We'll keep it.
Then it would reflect
Yeah.
the sun, and then we could fish longer.
If we can get the DNR to extend this, although we can catch panfish.
Catch panfish.
Sure.
We could cover Dave. We could run them from Dave's shoreline on Nunya Lake out to his crappie spot, and then we could fish crappies longer.
I think Jason just figured out what Minnesota does to Iowa.
Well, he's below the
It
ice
reflect
belt.
all the heat down to Iowa.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a thought.
Okay.
So if someone wants to send us 10,000 space blankets, we'll sew them together and try to save Dave's.
Yeah,
crappies.
because normally those are little 4x6 blankets, those little things.
I don't know how many it'd take. We'd have to math.
You need a lot.
Well, NASA, I know when they launch a satellite, they like the Hubble telescope, they like put those little solar panels in and they like expand out. We just need
like
Hubble.
Mylar. Yeah.
Just a Hubble telescope, and those are cheap.
Wow. There's some extra stuff in there.
Oh yeah, we don't need the telescope part, just the wings. All right. Well, I think we're ready for a topic.
Start watching the surplus auctions.
Yeah. One Hubble telescope.
Slightly used.
Craigslist.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I think we're ready to move on to our Rainy Lake trip, Jay. What do you think? And Dave and Oli too.
Yeah, you guys ready to move on, or do you have something you'd like to share regarding current events?
Fish were still biting yesterday.
Yeah,
Just like it.
I did my grand finale, took off work early Friday, fish Friday morning, Saturday morning, Sunday morning. So,
Oh,
You've had a really good year out there.
oh yeah, I had a lot of fresh fish.
yeah. That's awesome.
I actually saved some this time. So,
Just had walleye for dinner.
yeah.
We had some salmon yesterday for supper, smoked salmon. I smoked some up or on the pellet grill, courtesy of Uncle Ron.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Very
Yeah.
good.
I didn't have any of those things.
Oh, you got to catch some fish first.
I have walleye in the freezer. I could make some. Just gotta make it.
What vintage is that walleye? Oh, that's from your Lake of the
January.
Woods trip.
It's from January. I mean, it's not that old. Yeah, we're not talking about-
What year? January.
Yeah, no, it's like a month ago. I gotta get it cooked up.
Very cool. So Rainy Lake. How did we decide to go to Rainy Lake this year? Whose idea was this?
I think it was yours, Jay.
No, I think it was Oli's.
I've always wanted to try Rainy because I had heard a lot of good things about it, and I have done some recon since.
And
it's
not a winter fisheries.
Fish weren't where we were.
Let him say it, Dave. Let him say it. Make him say it, Dave.
What's that?
What's your research shown since?
So the success that they had was late season, like now, and they literally go kick open holes from previous ice fishermen because the holes aren't really freezing over anymore, right?
Sure.
So if they do, you can just boot it open, and then they're fishing in those holes near the dam or the river itself, and they do extremely well. Well, it's because you're starting to fish pre-spawn, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we were too early, basically, is what you're saying.
Well,
not in the right place.
Too early or way too late. Because I started to think about if you look at Rainy, it's a border lake, and we only get to touch the southern quarter of it.
Sure.
Yeah, if that.
And I noticed there's this phenomenon in a lot of lakes in Mille Lacs. Jeff, I think you and I have talked about this before, where the fish tend to move north. By mid-January, you can see it on Mille Lacs. People are really active on the south side of Mille Lacs, for example, in Isle Bay, Cove Bay, out in front of I-80s and that.
Oh, yeah.
But by mid-January, it almost becomes a ghost town. Everything starts moving north. You have to get up to Rockies or Randy's on the west side or on the east side, MAR flagship, wherever it is, and you're going to start to find the fish again. But for whatever reason, they're moving north, and they did that even on Pelican by us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I agree with you. Yeah.
Well, I live on the north side of the lake, so
yeah, there you go. I'm not saying it holds true in every water, but I think in a lot of them it does. And so when you go to a border lake and you don't have a remote border crossing permit, and you're on the south side of that border, it's not ideal, right? So something to think about. So it's known to be a crazy good walleye lake as well. I don't know what that looks like. I understand they may be changing some regs about voyagers and machines on the ice and stuff.
Yeah.
But for now, I think it's allowed. I did use Onyx Fish trying to see if there is an ice road. It does look like there may have been one. I have to go and look at that a little bit more, but that's 100% in Minnesota. It's the only lake that's a part of Voyagers that is 100% contained within the state.
Interesting.
So that gives that a little bit more consideration in my mind, because if they did move north, fine, we can go north.
Yeah.
Still in the state, right? But yeah, it was gorgeous. Rainy is awesome.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Look out our front window if it were summer, we would have just seen Rainy Lake houseboats stacked up on the docks in front of us. Instead, we saw 150 snowmobiles instead. But it was a really cool venue. Just the fishing wasn't what we had hoped for, and it's happened to us before, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh yeah.
And I look at that too, and I'm like, I think we might need to go to the other lake that was on the north side of that one. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna mention that lake name, but I think that could be something to consider. Is it
Well,
if that's true, that one's got to be stacked. So
how about the northwest angle then? Hence north.
yes,
Or
exactly.
Canada. We went fishing in Canada, Lake
Yeah.
of the Woods.
Yeah.
But it's really time sensitive because
It
so
is.
by mid-January, I think you can go anywhere, right? You got early ice, and then by mid-January, you need to start thinking about these types of things, and then
Yeah.
Mhm.
come March, it almost flips because like Lake of the Woods, March is the best kept secret, right? And
Yep.
well, I just screwed it up. But anyway,
Oh,
so you if you're fishing too deep, you're catching the small ones because they're not sexually mature and they're not staging up for a spawn. All the catchers or the keepers that you want, they're all coming into the shallows and getting close to the rivers and getting ready for that pre-spawn. So you start catching the bigger ones in like 12 feet of water on the south shore. So you know,
yep.
don't go north or don't go deep and don't be caught on the south side late February, but then all of a sudden 3 weeks later, you might want to be on that south side because that's where all the good fishing. Well, that's going to be good fishing, not all of it, but
Yeah.
good, right?
Well, I think some of that speaks to like, we're really good, I think, at finding a wide variety of traditional walleye spots.
Yeah,
And I think where we struggle and have traditionally struggled is we have a lake that is more complex than a standard kind of standalone Minnesota lake.
yeah,
That's got a bunch of rivers, or it's kind of a more like a flowage, or because it has a lot of interconnectedness to other systems.
yeah,
And those we seem to struggle with more. But and that's where sometimes it's worth making sure you're talking to somebody local, talking to a local guide, or
yeah,
hiring a local guide. I'm going to give Bruce Jean a shout out. He's with Rainy Lake Guiding. We ran into him on the ice on Sunday, and he gave us a little bit of advice, and we were able to put some walleyes, get some walleyes topside, which was nice because we had been struggling with that. And he just so I do want to thank him for that. That was awful nice. I know they guide all summer too, so certainly look those guys up. RainyLakeGuiding.com is their website. But nice people, but takes us back to the area he had us look for fish was different than anything we had been looking, and it was kind of a local knowledge kind of thing.
yeah. Well, and it just bugs me, right? Because we show up with these trips with high hopes, and when it doesn't pan out, or even if it does pan, I always try and look back and figure out why.
Mhm.
I don't care if it was lights out or if it was terrible. Why? Because if you can try and start connecting those dots,
Absolutely.
chances of repeating success down the road are so much better. So why didn't we do well? Try to avoid repeating that mistake again. Or if we do really good, what was good about it? Let's do it again, right? Do it again.
Yeah, I feel like the learnings though, like you said, Oli, is the why. One, no matter how smart we were about fishing that lake, I don't know that it was going to help us, right? I mean, we were already by picking the wrong time of year for the body of water, right? Like, and that's one of the whys. Just in February, there's a reason everybody's snowmobiling and not fishing, right? I mean, it's
well, and every place that we decided looked good on the map. It's a
Yeah.
big lake with lots of islands. You can't necessarily see where you're going to go, right?
Right.
We're on the other side of a big island. We get around the corner, boom, someone's already there.
Yep.
So we weren't reinventing the wheel, right?
No.
We were
No.
contours in a consistent fashion as other fishermen because other people were obviously thinking the same things. But just not having the local knowledge and the history with the lake puts you at a deficit, especially with something that size.
I tell you where I started getting concerned the very first day is when I'm looking at all these really nice ice roads, and there's just not people everywhere.
Hey, yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
there's
go,
hardly any permanents out there
What?
except
Why?
for some.
Why aren't there people here? I mean, great ice roads, beautiful roads,
Oh, wide.
easy to get to. I don't think there's drive right on the lake. Not a lot of snow. You could have put a house anywhere almost. And there's
Yeah,
there's a parade going to Lake of the Woods, in Red Lake, and there was, nobody home.
So I thought about that too. So why wouldn't I mean, let's say the fishing was good.
Yeah.
And I want to get up there and I want to do it again and bring the wheelhouse. Shoot, I need a plow on the front of my truck to be able to get off this road.
Yeah.
I don't know what the snow looks like. When sure enough, yeah, you could have pretty much gone most places when we were there, but you don't know that sitting at home.
No, you don't.
And that's
You
a
don't.
long ways to travel to find out that you're kind of at odds.
Yeah. And we used, so we didn't use snowmobiles this year. We used four-wheelers.
Mhm.
So Dave had his Polaris. Dave, what are you running?
My wife's Polaris Ranger 1000 heated cab.
Thanks to Jackie again for
Yep.
Dave and Jeff. Not have to
Passenger
ride on the
princess.
back
Well,
of
I had a
Ole
whole
and Ice.
handicap person around with one
Mhm.
arm, so
True.
Is that the excuse? Is Jeff got to get a surgery every year? just to
That's
keep
not
his-
going to happen again. I don't want to do that ever again.
Something tells me that's not going to be the last time that we got to help somebody along on it.
Yeah.
We are just probably starting the medical adventure years of ice fishing,
Right.
but
well, you're already getting the menu together for what people can eat and not eat.
oh my gosh. And then, so Ole, you were running your
The Big
Yamaha,
Bear. Yeah. Yep.
Big Bear.
Yep.
Jason had the Honda.
I was
Still
running
trying to get it back to its normal running state because I had to replace some throttle and choke cables and stuff and put it all back together, and things are a little off, but
Isn't it great when you fix it till it's broke?
Yeah.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
And I was running
So-
a Honda,
So
Rancher.
I would say like snow depth was not super deep, but we were fine, but you wouldn't want to go much deeper than we were.
Well, the drifts and stuff especially when you get closer to some of those islands where it drifts and sticks or it gets thicker,
Yeah.
then you had to work a little bit at it.
My machine was just kind of
It was. Yeah, you were staying on top.
just floating.
Yep. Yeah, I think those factory tires were a lot better option.
Well, you got to watch your weight capacity too, you know?
What are you saying,
Yeah.
Jay?
I was trying. I
Well-
sucked it in, but it didn't work.
Put it this way, yeah, weight capacity, you bring a Ranger and there's a bed in there. Everyone has to throw everything in that open bed
Yes.
behind you. Why
Yes.
is that?
Because you don't have to bend over to get it out.
That's not true.
That's my
found
reason.
I found the black and blue shack that worked just as well for that.
Yeah,
I would,
throw your empty cans and everything else in there.
I would say though that bed. I mean, you look at one of those, and I haven't experienced one other than the Jackie's, but it doesn't look like that big a bed. But man, we use the crud out of the everything goes when
Yeah.
you're ice fishing. We move so fast because you can just like throw and go. I mean, it's
Now, the only downside is I was really surprised about how much snow got kicked up into that.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you consider that is like above belly button height
Yeah.
Well, we were digging pretty
or
good
Yeah.
there.
chin height for Sean.
Yeah.
yeah, it was right there. No,
Dave had it pinned though. I mean, we were when we were going through some of that drifts. I mean, it wasn't you were throwing snow. I mean, it was no joke.
And when you put tracks on them, it's way worse.
Oh.
Hey, don't. I'm trying to talk him into tracks.
Well, I had four.
Tracks throw everything. Like you got to have doors.
Really?
You can't have a tracked vehicle without doors. You'll bury yourself in the cab. I mean, it's
Well, I did have 4 tire chains on it too. so,
Yeah.
That probably made a big difference.
Yeah.
The
So
machines ran good though. Nothing broke. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, Jeff, what do you do?
I didn't do anything.
A little weld when I got
Da-
home. Fixed it.
Dave had to do a little bit of repairs. Luckily, it was not a big deal because, yeah.
Well, that was his bad arm, and he could not get the door latched or something.
They are pretty tricky. I will tell you, like it's not the easiest.
I think it was twofold. I think that door wasn't adjusted when I've seen side by side doors not latch great in the first place. I mean, they're not a car, right?
Yeah, and that's
They're a little bit tougher, a little
Yeah.
here and there, and it was your weaker arm. You ain't
Wow.
slamming the door.
no, but I I think it wasn't super clear to me if it was open or not. Like, you'd shut it and it would seem like it was shut, but obviously it wasn't. I don't want to break it. They look like they're glass. They're not glass, right? But
The top's glass, the bottom's like a plexiglass.
yeah,
So
but
you're not going to break it.
yeah, maybe that's what I was gonna
He
be a little
says
more
till you
watchful.
break it because you slam it.
Well, but I didn't know, anyways. Yes.
So
that
what
was
were you doing when that happened, when that door flew open? I think
Well-
wasn't Dave's last words hold on?
it was send it. I think we were down there at Snowbank.
Well-
hold my beer and watch this. I thought.
That's a bad thing about all these plowed roads. You're on a plowed
Yeah, I
road
know.
and you want to go fish over there, and you have all these berms that you have to go through because it snowed and they couldn't get that far over. So you have like 3 different berms you got to break through. So you might have to give it a little gas, because I guess I was the leader there. No one else would go first.
Well, I mean, if you punch the hole, my little machine can follow right
Yeah.
through.
Yep.
No reason to. I mean, me running through there wouldn't have done you any good.
It was easier for me to just hop off the 4-wheeler and pick up things that flew off of you.
Yeah.
I lost the bungee cord on that anyway.
Yep. So
All right. So if we're talking about Rainy Lake and our trip, why don't we go through what's the one thing that you would do differently next time, Jay?
Starting with me, I'd fish harder, more time, get out in the morning early.
Boy.
I think we kind of brought it halfway. We didn't bring it all the way. I think we, have a little bit better plan and catch a little bit more fish, work the bait a little better.
If
That
it
kind of
wasn't
thing.
warmer, we would have just been burning propane.
So Jason, what you're saying is, if I fish twice as long, I could times the number of fish I caught by double.
When I think overall, we put about
Zero
a B
times-
effort in.
zero
About a
times-
B effort.
0 times 2 is
Yeah. 0. Yeah, exactly.
I think Jeff, I think we need to probably be less bashful about just calling people.
Yeah.
Like, we do the internet thing and we do some research, and we just need to call and say, hey, we're thinking about heading
Sure.
up to this place. Is this a good idea? And listen to what the people say, because we may avoid some easy fouls by just someone saying,
Rainy
I
Lake in
would-
February.
I wouldn't do that. I would look for something else. So I think next year, if we do a new lake, I think that would be the change from a trip planning standpoint, is just to make the call. We're so dependent on internet research and we rarely pick up the phone, and we just need to do more of that.
but
That's
a
my
lot of
recap.
times
And
lot of
fish
times
more. Go earlier.
we did fish more. We fished even on a Thursday, got
know
my
we
butt
did.
out there. So
Yeah.
there.
No, it was
Yeah.
good. I appreciate that, Dave. But I think overall
more
that
recon before
more
you
better,
go.
more better-ish
better.
recon.
All right.
But
That's
like a
my
lot
answer.
of the dates, we just have to pick a weekend that everyone can make it. We can't
Yeah.
really plan, okay, let's go this way, but then
We've
there's
said
too
that.
much conflicts.
Yeah, we've said that many times before. And then, with the recon, Jeff, you had said it a couple of times in our pre-trip communications, like this place is like a ghost town.
Yeah.
It's like you get there and you sign a waiver, you're going to shut your mouth because nobody talks about it. So, just shy of calling the local guides.
Yeah.
I don't know what more we could have done, because we try.
Yeah.
We just couldn't get anything on this lake. It seems
Yeah.
weird. It's a Rainy Lake. Everybody knows Rainy Lake. But
Yeah.
man, trying to get intel through the ice is like pulling teeth. And then maybe it wasn't just a February thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just not a great ice fishery. I don't know.
Yeah, their business definitely was snowmobiling. It was ice fisher people were not their primary customer.
Maybe
Well,
that's
like-
got something to do with it, because
Yeah.
it's got all that traffic.
True.
You go to Upper Red in the middle of the week, and you're going to do really, really well. And when the weekend hits, you can see it slow down.
Yeah.
It's noticeable. Well, Rainy is a snowmobiler's destination. They probably got, especially a year like this, where they had snow, nobody else really did. It probably never really quieted down.
Yeah.
So that could have contributed to it as well. Maybe it was something more prominent this year because of the snow that we didn't get elsewhere. I mean, there's so many different factors.
Yep.
Hard to say.
But like when we're on Lake of the Woods, we fish that like we tried Rainy. You look for the breaks, you look for the rock piles, and you normally catch them. But Rainy Lake, we did nothing, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
When we
we
went-
varied presentation and baits and
Yeah.
When we went super deep, we were fishing, what was that, 40 plus feet of water off of Bald Island. And that's when we caught the eel pout, the couple eel pout at after dark, really, or close to dark.
Yeah, and then the guy says, "Oh yeah, those towns, they sleep all day and just fish at night for
Just
eel pout."
fish
And we're
eel
sitting
pout.
there.
And suddenly that made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it was really dead all day. And we're like,
Right.
what's going on with these vampires?
Yeah.
So Dave, what would you do different if we were gonna, what would you change from what we did this year?
for
If you do
fishing
it over
wise,
again. Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't know, some of those guides, like if you want to hire one for a day, they sound pretty spendy, you know. And
Yep.
we normally can find the fish, except for who knows, these walleyes didn't come out to the big lake just at night to feed. You
Yeah.
know, hard to say.
Like we should fish all night is what you're saying.
No.
Oh.
If Dave stays
No.
on nights, I might be able to talk him into that.
Yeah.
Well,
Just I'd let him sleep during the day.
the
And then
fish
he can sleep and I'll keep fishing. But
well, the crappie bite started about 4:30 a.m. and then about 10 after 6, it was done. So,
Oh.
go in and go to bed.
yep,
That must be when the bugs come out of the ground and the crappie come and
bubbles
eat
and the
them.
bubbles
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, Oli, what would you change? What would be the one thing you'd change from what we did different?
I don't go to Rainy.
In February, yeah.
I hate to say that because it's like my happy place. I love it up there as much as anybody. That is my jam. I love that area. Jason would pick a spot. I'd pick a spot. You'd pick a spot. We all contributed. And it's just, you know what? The stuff that I'm keying in on isn't panning out. You try.
Yeah.
We all kept a really open mind. So I think we gave it the best shot we could.
Mhm.
We were open to ideas. When Bruce said, try this, try that, we were game to listen. And I mean, sometimes it's still fishing, not catching, right? So,
Well, what did he
Absolutely.
say too? He says, "Well, if you guys want to catch fish, go to Lake of the Woods."
He did say that.
He did.
I
say
don't
that.
want to say that. The guy's still got a business to run.
Oh, I
Now-
know that, but that was in winter, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like summer for sure is a whole different
Oh my gosh.
thing.
yeah.
And I don't know, maybe other times the winters too, but
Jeff, how about you?
I wouldn't wreck my arm.
yeah, well that's annoying to not,
I mean, it's
but-
nice. Jeff's going to drill all the holes next year.
That's
so-
probably true. It's fine. I don't
Yeah.
like drilling holes. It's fine. It was actually frustrating for me. I wouldn't say frustrating. I mean, you guys would drill me a hole anywhere I wanted to drill a hole, but you don't want to bug other people to be drilling your own holes and stuff. So it's
That's why we offered, so you didn't have to ask.
yeah. I know.
'Cause I knew where you were at, so I'm just like,
Yeah.
Jeff, I'm gonna drill a hole.
Yeah.
Good one.
And that was awesome. You guys are great at that. I don't know. I don't think there's anything we could have done. It was a great weekend. We got to hang out. The weather was beautiful. We fished outside more than we almost ever do, and I love fishing outside. I wish we were catching outside, but we all caught a fish or two, right? We didn't go home with zero fish. Nobody didn't catch fish. So I don't know. I mean, I think we worked that lake as hard as we could. I think we did everything that we could. I don't know that I would, besides knowing where they are, right? I mean, we weren't going to know. Besides knowing where they were, I think we did what we should have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I would just go at a different time of year to that lake, or a different place would be what I would change.
Summer.
Now, yeah. Now we stayed at the Thunderbird Resort or Lodge. Can't remember.
Lodge,
Thunderbird
I think.
Lodge. And I will say, place had a great vibe.
It was awesome.
Restaurant was wonderful. The owner gal was just phenomenal when we needed. I went in there and I said, I need something to adjust. I need something to adjust the thing. And
A
so she
persuader.
I needed a persuader. Took me to the shop and we got a sledgehammer and a big crescent wrench. And And then I forgot a couple pans up there. I forgot my pans that I told my wife I absolutely wouldn't forget. And,
Oh, geez.
and I forgot them. And so I called her up and she mailed them to me.
Really?
Yep. So they're on their way back. So,
Hmm.
and Sherry noticed. So I'm in trouble. So it's a good thing that Oli's cooking next year because I don't think I can bring stuff from the house anymore.
Well, you got to leave your charger there until I went back through for your
I
phone.
know. I always leave stuff. I mean, I'm brain's going a million miles a minute, so I just miss stuff. But I
thought
will
we ended
say,
with Jeff cooking next year.
I thought it was
I don't
you.
care. I'll cook.
No, I think it was Oli.
Yeah.
I will say that if you're looking for a snowmobiling spot to go, like a lodge to go snowmobile at, I think you couldn't go wrong with that place. They got a bunch of variety of accommodations, and they don't pay us to say any of this. I just think
No.
when you have good business and you get good service, everybody's always quick to complain. I would say they did a nice job, and I appreciate things. Doesn't mean everything's always perfect, but if people are doing the best and they're friendly and they got a good vibe, that's all I ask.
Even the deer walked over and said, "Hey, everyone."
I know every morning the deer's like, yo, what's up? What's for
Yeah.
dinner? And we're like,
Venison?
venison, and they leave. They're
Yeah.
like, no,
The restaurant was actually really good. The food we had there
it
was
was,
like
it was excellent.
you're almost like, am I in the North Woods or not? I mean, it was good food.
Yeah, we could easily ate there every night
Oh yeah,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
and for breakfast and for lunch, but that gets expensive
it
generally.
does.
But
It does.
no, it was great.
It was great. Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
good
and they had
meal.
gas right at the lodge if you were snowmobiling or needed gas, and
It was on the
people
dock.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dock gas for the snowmobile.
Yeah.
I suppose you could have drove your car down there if you needed gas.
Well, he had long enough hose for probably getting
Probably-
all these boats, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably could have filled you up if you had needed it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what that costs, but
Not cheap.
High octane
anyway.
stuff, yeah.
you know, we had minnows. Oli, you tried waxies, I think, didn't you, a couple times?
Spikes, I think.
Spikes.
Yeah.
We just try. I mean, we threw the tackle box at them. So every depth, every type of structure we could think
Flats,
of.
mud,
Flats,
rock,
mud.
rock piles, deep
Inside turns, outside turns.
saddles.
Yeah.
You
What
name
do we
it.
call them? Innies and outies.
Oh,
Some
there was
other non-PC words also, yes.
yeah.
Not family
Bumps.
friendly words.
Bumps and dips.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because everyone likes bumps.
All right.
So,
So Jay, I think you promised a legend.
oh my God, do I got to tell that story?
You last episode, you promised
I did.
that you would tell the story that's been canned
God.
for a whole year.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm hardly ready to tell it, but I will. And it kind of fits into ice safety where we started
There you
at the
go.
beginning. So this happened at Devil's Lake last year. And I do have my brother-in-law's permission to tell this story as well.
Good. Yeah, that's a good,
Reach out
good
to
one
him
because
he's
there is
part of the story.
some HIPAA laws.
some
here
of
we gotta
our-
cover here.
Some of our more astute listeners may have noticed a couple of things. Didn't talk a ton about North Dakota last year, even though we went. Jeff and I had a trip where we went out there. Anyway, long story short, actually it's a long story, so I'll just ramble. Where do I start? So the first day ice fishing, when my brother-in-law and I went out to Devil's Lake, and we were going to meet Jeff and his boy. And so we left and we drove through the night. We left after work and we drove through the night and got to Devil's. And I had the snow dog that I had purchased. And it was the first kind of maiden voyage. And there was really no snow at all that year. And now the snow dog had studded track. And so we hooked up our sleds and off we went. It's about noon maybe, and headed out across this, not Devils, but one of those little lakes around Devils. Well, they're not little, but like across the road or whatever.
Was it a bay? Pardon?
I don't know. Main basin, I don't know.
It was water that had ice on top of it.
And so we headed out and we got set up and we're fishing. And my brother-in-law had caught like just this massive perch. Really excited about it. And then we were going to move just a little bit. And so I set about trying to get my ice shack, because we both had our single portables. We both have Kenais. And so I was taking my stuff down, and next thing you know, I'm on the ground on my back and no idea, right? Just flat on my back. And my brother-in-law, you know, I kind of got up. I remember distinctly hearing like the sound of a thud, like a cantaloupe hitting. I was not wearing ice cleats and it was glare ice. And so some of this is my brother-in-law telling me because some of it I don't remember. I think I was out maybe just a couple of minutes, like out when I hit the ice, not for sure. So then I got up, apparently, walked over to him, and he was putting stuff together. And I guess I looked at him and I said, "Did I fall down?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I went, "Huh." And then he kept kind of putting stuff together a little faster because he's like, "Oh shit." And then I go to him, I go, "Where exactly are we?" Like I knew I was in North Dakota, but I didn't know anymore like where on the lake we were. Like I was no longer orientated to where on the lake we were. None of it looked familiar.
Hmm.
So we got the snow dog. We're about 2.5 miles from the car and maybe
So far,
further.
this kind of sounds like a typical trip.
Yeah, I know, right? And so we load up, we hook up the snow dogs or the snow dog to the train of sleds, and he's driving, he's at the front, and I'm just sitting in my shack. And at some point I lost time. Like I just don't, it apparently took a long time to get back. And he had to fill up with gas once, and the wind had really kicked up. So it was like 30, 40 mile an hour winds. And because there was no snow on the ice, what was happening is because of the cross section of the two shacks, the wind would gust and it would flip the whole train around in a circle. And this just kept going. So he'd try to get off, he kept trying to go, and then the wind would come and flip us around again, and he'd have to straighten the whole works out and get going again. And that's just that rinse and repeat repeatedly. And at one point he goes, "I think we need to ask for help." And there was a snow bear, about a half mile away. And so he heads for the snow bear. Well, before we could get there, they picked up and left.
Oh,
So I'm like, at that time, when that happened, I was starting to, I was getting everything back. And I'm like, now that we're actually only about a half mile from the car, because at that point I was reorientated. But from the time I hit my head to the time we hit the car, no pun intended, got to back to the car was almost 3 hours because we kept having all these struggles with the snow dog getting off the ice. And so we went from there we decided, I suppose I should go get checked out. Right. I know enough about head injury to know I can feel fine, but if I hit my head that hard, I should probably go get some sort of medical attention to make sure I'm okay. So we drove into Devil's Lake, which was still about a half-hour drive from where we were, and get to Devil's Lake Hospital. I don't recommend 0 of 10 Devil's Lake Hospital.
Better than Two Harbors?
I don't know. I
no,
don't have
I
anything to
don't think
compare it to.
so.
I mean, the people that like the medical staff was nice, but their billing and everything was terrible. Like we're standing there to check into the yard. He's having me fill out all my information and everything. I'm like, dude, I'm here because I have a head injury. But yeah, I'll fill out your form and here's my car, here's my credit card. Like they took all of that stuff before they let me go in.
Hmm.
Which if you think about it, like I could be dying right there, right? I could be bleeding out and they wouldn't even know. Literally said, "Hey, I knocked myself out so hard." Anyway, we get in there and, of course I'm focused on kind of what I'm doing, but Steve didn't look good either. I'm like, what's going on with this guy? Well, Steve is diabetic. And so all that exertion and the excitement and worry about this situation, all of a sudden they're checking me in and I look over and they put Steve in another room and they're trying to give him like snacks or whatever to get his blood sugar up. They kept checking his blood sugar and they ended up admitting him as well. So now we're both admitted to the hospital. And so they do a CAT scan or a MRI or whatever they do.
Meanwhile, I'm driving to Lake in the car.
That's just
and
no idea.
I'm like, Noah, call Jason, see what's going on. And text him. What does the text say? We're in the ER. And I'm like, what? Like they're in the ER. What is going on
We're in the
here?
ER. It was a bad night. And so, they do the things. I'm fine. And but what they said is you're going to have whiplash symptoms based on what you're telling us of how hard you hit your head. And my God, the next day I did. Terror, like my whole neck was sore. My head didn't hurt, But my whole neck was sore, and then I didn't drink at all because of the whole head injury thing and alcohol. They said that's bad, so I followed that. But yeah, Steve ended up getting admitted. He was fine. They gave him something, and got him stabilized. And then Jeff got there and we went out for supper.
That's what happens. Yeah.
But
So
I mean, so lessons learned, a couple lessons learned. Always wear spikes. Always, I had spikes with me. I just was so, you guys, I get rammy, right? I want to go. I don't want to waste a minute. I want to
Really?
go fishing. And I didn't put them on because I'm like, I'll just shuffle. I'll just shuffle around. But when I hit, I mean, my feet, I think what saved my butt is I was wearing my big old trapper hat, my big kind of
Yep.
fur trap, and so that has a ton of padding. And so my head hit the ground. I had that fur hat with all that padding between my back of my head and the ice. And if I wasn't wearing that hat, I think it probably would have had a worse outcome. What we should have done is we should have called 911 after that happened. We shouldn't have tried to leave the lake on our own. We should have. And I asked Ron about it. Ron does search and rescue. He's like, yeah, you guys should have called because you don't know. It could have gotten worse.
Yeah.
And by the time you got off the lake, it could have been 10 times worse. And if you waited till it got 10 times worse, then, we still have an hour to get to you, a half hour to get to you. So we should have I should have sucked up my pride because Steve probably would have done it if I had told him to, but I'm like, no, I think I'm okay. I'm okay.
I'm not sure that you were in the right state of mind to make any decisions.
Yeah,
anyways.
but you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
Like, I don't blame him at all for that.
No.
I think
We've seen
I think-
Jason make really poor decisions.
oh yeah. I mean, it happens all the time. But we should have called 911 or at
Yeah.
least called and talked to somebody about it. They could at least met us maybe at the landing and checked me out or whatever, but which might have been cheaper than the stinking ER, but they probably still would have sent me to the ER to get checked out.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So
or a lesson learned, don't go fishing that hard. Wait for everyone to get there. Don't go all day long.
the lesson I took from that was wear ice cleats.
Where no more death drives for 12 hours.
The death drive was not
Yeah.
the issue. But that, in all honesty, like we haven't talked a lot about the snow dog. And so our experiences with that is part of what left a bad taste in my mouth with it. And, with the way the wind was hitting us, and I suppose you could put scratchers on, but at the end of the day, having a machine that would maybe leave me out in the lake in a really bad situation and not be reliable to get my butt home just left me a bad taste. So that's why that one got sold down the river. Not that it's a bad machine, just that
Do you
my
think
experience.
if you had one sled, would it be more manageable and do okay versus a train?
It probably would have. I mean, you had less cross section to the wind,
Mhm.
but I mean, a couple of times that thing was just spinning. The wind was just spinning us around, and
Hmm.
it just wasn't. And those homemade snow dogs have less horsepower than the actual brand snow dog,
Sure.
because I would clarify, it's a homemade one.
Yeah.
They have that Predator engine on them. But I mean, it was studded track and weighs about 400 pounds, but just with the glare ice, I just think that's a whole different
Yeah.
thing. And yeah, so that's the story. It's taken me a year to want to tell that story, or over a year. I usually don't try to be that, no one likes to think they can really hurt themselves like that, but it just means just that quick, man.
Well,
That
you are
quick.
getting older,
Well, those are the two major injuries, obviously ice fishing or cracking your head, or falling, breaking,
Yep.
and then
Slip,
falling
trips,
through
and falls.
slip, trips and falls. What are we doing now, Dave? What did you say we got to do?
Oh, the march. The
march.
Oh, it's like, yeah, it's like in a marching band, you're supposed to march slowly instead
Versus
of doing
walk like a penguin.
penguin. Yep.
See, I was doing the penguin. That's probably
No
that's
more
probably
penguin
what
shuffle.
happened.
And it
But
does
yeah.
work. They do have a simulator that I've been in that is
Oh.
slicker than ice. They put you in a harness and they put these moon boots on you and they spray it, on the floor with like soapy water and stuff and show you how to walk and climb over things and steps and inclines and stuff like that. Because that's a major work comp claim that we have at work,
Hmm.
So
Well, I'll tell you, I'll never forget that sound.
Dunk.
Oh man.
Mm.
Did it make an echo across the whole lake?
Oh, it had to. I mean,
It's like that sound that happened inside my head when I blew my Achilles. It's
if
like
you
you
think
can feel
about
it from the inside. Like,
like,
I don't know how to explain
I
it.
wish I had a video because I'm sure I would have just went whoop,
Yeah.
boom, and I'm 6 foot, not light. So that the velocity of that rock.
It's been a kind of a brutal year. So you hit your head, knocked yourself out. I
Well,
broke.
that was last year, not this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but roughly within the last year.
Within 12 months, within the last
Yeah, I
12 months.
suppose 12.5
Yeah.
months. Yeah.
My ribs, Jeff's arm, and
Yeah.
Dave's finger.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yep.
Jesus.
What it's like the diehard guy getting too old for this shit.
Never. But we need to wear more safety equipment and move a
Yeah.
little slower, maybe. But ice cleats, ice cleats, ice cleats.
But I am convinced that like more people get hurt like that or from falling than people go through the ice. People
Oh.
don't go through the ice
Yeah.
very often. I mean, I know we just talked to that happen, but it way more people fall
And
more
half the
often.
time you hear somebody went through the ice, they probably didn't. They
Yeah.
probably fell into a crack, like on Upper
Yeah.
Red,
Yeah.
because they were trying to get into a raft and they fell off
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
They didn't go through the ice. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
So
Well,
that's my legend, I guess.
thanks for sharing that, Jay. I know that was tough holding on to that for a year. That was a tough day. We still went fishing.
Oh,
But
I still fished all
yeah.
weekend.
Oh yeah, for sure. We did. We did.
Absolutely. My neck's
Actually,
so sore though.
The snow dog
didn't,
did not get in the
Jason.
ice though.
You didn't, Jason. You just thought you went fishing.
Maybe.
You were cuckoo.
you just kept telling them you did good, buddy. You did good.
Yeah, it's possible. It's certainly possible that I really didn't fish. I don't know, but
I never saw the snow dog leave the cabin after that though. We
it did
used the
not.
four-wheeler.
We drove the wheeler. And
Oh, I had it. That's why you guys didn't have it. I had the
you
four-wheeler.
had the wheeler.
Yeah.
But me and my brother-in-law get a lot of crap about never letting you guys go anywhere unsupervised again. I couldn't believe it when I look over. I'm like, oh God, they admitted him too.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Two for two.
I know. The call home to the wives was not fun either.
Last episode of the season.
It was.
And it is. And so we told the legend, which usually the end of the show. So I think we just need some wrap up this season. So maybe like a couple thoughts from everybody. Jason, go first.
Next year, I'm going to go further and eat less.
I like
and
it.
wear ice cleats.
And wear ice cleats
Yes.
and a fluffy hat.
No fluffy
Well,
hat.
the eagle was looking at your hat.
Yeah, I know he was.
Oh my gosh, we didn't even tell about the eagle.
Yeah, we're not going to. We
All right, we
saw
don't
a
have
bald
time for
eagle
the
and it was so cool.
Yeah, all right.
And we watched him eat a fish.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what happened.
Which
All right,
was
there you
even
go.
cooler.
Now you got the eagle. All right, so Dave, what are your season wrap up thoughts?
It was a good season. We actually had ice that I had my ice house out as long as I did, and I was catching fish whenever I wanted to.
Yeah, that's pretty
And I
good.
didn't go fishing all day long. I just focused right there for the morning bite and not chased them all day long.
How do you know they weren't biting the rest of the day? Anyway, go on. This is your part.
Well, why? If you go out there and you catch as many as you want in that 1 hour,
There's a limit. You can't
there
keep
is
them
a
all.
Put them
limit.
back. You can put them
Okay,
back.
all right.
Well, I got other things to do.
We're just gonna say Jason and Dave had different fishing philosophies, and we'll just say that.
Why waste a whole day out there when you
Yeah,
can just go out there for an hour and catch what you want to eat?
there you go. All right. So Oli, you had some different adventures too. How would you wrap up your season in a couple sentences or a paragraph?
It-
doesn't have to be super short.
It started. The whole season went really well. We hit 4 of the Big Ten plus
Sweet.
Rainy and another lake, and I already have 4 things on the calendar for next season. So it was a good season, and I'm already looking forward to next season. But I am clutching and already starting to think about opener.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and then honestly, when the beginning of the ice season starts, I'm usually a little ticked off about that because I'm not done birding. I want the ice season to kick off,
Yeah.
chasing my birds. So, but great ice season. I'm looking forward to another one, and
Sweet.
I'm looking forward to heading to wherever we go with you guys.
On to
Jeff,
oh,
how about you?
So I felt a little light this year because I really couldn't do anything without help. Right. I mean, I felt lucky I got out to Lake of the Woods once and we got to Rainy, and I got out probably one other time, but it was pretty late because I was the injury stuff.
Yeah.
They basically told me if I fell on my elbow, I'd probably just break it again, and I did not want to do that. So I felt like I wanted to get out more, and it just wasn't going to happen. So I'm looking forward to next year getting out a bit more. I really, really want to get out west to some mountain lakes. I want to somehow get out there. I know it's really far away, and I'd love to get up to Eagle Lake. But we talked to Jeff Moreau this year. I'd love to get up there. But yeah, I think that's what I'm looking forward to next year. And still got out, still caught some walleyes. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap for season number 8. So back for number 9 next year. That's crazy.
Holy cow.
I know.
Tight lines, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You've been listening to the Hard Water Fishing Show with Jeff and Jason.
Say goodbye.
One of the most unique podcasts on the planet, where we talk about tactics, gear, and ice fishing legends. We'll be back soon.
Bye-bye.
Till then, signing off.